presenter today was Camille Sloan Schroeder, and she is our First Lego League and Junior First Lego League partner in Iowa. So our first one comes from a coach who says, our team has 3 girls and 5 boys. When we split into sub-teams, would you recommend keeping girls together or intermixing them with the boys?
I would do both. So, so I guess I'm of the nature that there would be some tasks that you could do on the team that you could intermingle, but I don't think that if you are going to put them into groups, I would probably not maybe put one girl per, if you were splitting them, say, into thirds, I wouldn't put one token girl in each group. I would keep them together. But another thing that I would caution is, and I've seen this happen before, is I've had coaches that have a couple of girls on the team and they put them on the research project making the costuming for the research project. I caution coaches not to do that. It goes back to the growth mindset comment of, even if that young woman maybe has just joined the team and she's totally new to working with the software and programming, doesn't mean that she can't grow and learn and be a phenomenal asset to your team. Think about ways that you can utilize the strength that the student has while at the same time making sure that your teaming, your subgroups help that person develop. And I would maybe, I guess I'm of the nature that I would put them together, but I would also think about ways that I could utilize their strengths in other areas.
How would you suggest helping the shy girls be more assertive in getting their thoughts across?
Reassurance constantly. If you have any team member that is not self-assured, it's going to be really important to thank them when they are bringing their thoughts forward. You want to make sure that they understand that their voice is valued and that they have just as much of a voice as somebody else. And so I think it's really important that you take the time to say to that team member, I understand that sometimes it's not easy for you to speak up in front of the group, but I want to tell you that when you do, I really value that. And as a coach, I really need your voice on this team. And so let's work together to try and make that an easier situation for you. But I want you to know how important that is. And I'm so proud of you for speaking up today. I hope that I hear a lot more out of you. And there it goes back to the growth mindset of, it's a challenge, and you know you're understanding in that they are shy or reserved, but you know that with some self-efficacy and with some self-talk of, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, okay, I was nervous but it went over okay, I got a positive reinforcement for doing so, okay, I think I can do that again, and it just will build that member. But you have to be very deliberate about your feedback and your compliments, that you appreciate that voice, and then hopefully they will begin to build some confidence and they'll appreciate hearing their own voice too.
Will it look like favoritism if I tell a shy female student, thank you for speaking up, if I don't tell a male student the same, or would you say that to them privately afterward?
I would actually have a reinforcement when students are, maybe you're having them in a group and you're having them provide feedback to something, and maybe a student who often speaks says something, you might say, thanks. And when that other person speaks, you might say, really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks for that. It isn't that you didn't thank the other student. It's not that you did not recognize that they provided, but you want to make sure that you provide that feedback at the start with that student that is unsure of themselves, because the one student may speak up all the time, and so that's not their area of growth that they need. In fact, the area of growth that that student might need is maybe more of a reflective or listening skill. And so when they do that, then just the opposite, you would say, I really liked how you took the time to really think that through. That was really good today. The other thing that you can do is, in those moments when you kind of are with them and maybe they're working a little more individually, you can say something. Or you can say to the parent when they come to pick them up, your child really contributed well today, and I just wanted to let you know how pleased I was to see that. Because you know that that parent is, one, going to feel good about that, but they're going to turn around and say, wow, good things happened in practice today, huh? And then that's just one more level of encouragement. So it isn't that you're calling out favors, it's that you have to individually build your team based on what those individuals need.
How can I help parents understand that this is an activity for girls as well as boys? So many of them discourage their daughters from even coming to our informational meeting and directing them to more traditionally female activities such as dance, piano, etc. I know it is hard to believe in this day and age, but for our community, this is a reality.
I understand. It's actually not unique just to that coaches community, but it's in a lot of places. There are a lot of adults that don't know what STEM stands for. They don't know the opportunity that is there. Some sort of, I guess, easy things that I could think to do would be utilize some of the data from this presentation and other things online to say to parents that more and more females are needed in these jobs. And sometimes I've joked with other groups that I've talked about this with, but you know, I kind of laugh and say, as I'm a parent myself, and as a parent you don't want your child living on your couch, right, forever. You want them to be a contributing, successful member of society after they leave your home. And a STEM career is that. And talking to those parents about, you know, you put your child in dance so that they can be expressive. Well, our young people are expressing through the way that they're giving their presentation. They're expressing themselves through the way they build that robot. They're expressing themselves by the way that they work with others on the team. It's different, yes, but trust me, we're going to build similar skill sets. I think it's really important, too, that you try to have dialogues with other learning leaders in your community. And if you're associated with a school or a homeschool group or possibly an organization of some kind, that you have these dialogues as learning leaders to say, okay, there is a perception issue in our community or in our area, and how do we work together to have a similar message? Because it can be kind of a grassroots effort to really literally change the conversation from being girls shouldn't do engineering, that's a guy thing, robots are a boy thing, to no, this is really cool, this totally opens up a whole world of opportunity for my daughter that did not exist. I didn't even know these careers were out there. You know, there is a great need for women in these careers. A lot of companies would come into an area if simply they knew they were going to have the workforce. So even from an economic development standpoint, we need all people going into these careers because there is a shortage. And if you can kind of make that case to some of your other community leaders and learning leaders, then all of a sudden it becomes part of everybody's language, and that really helps. But I would really talk to those parents that are skeptical about how this is an activity for everyone, and we just want to provide your daughter with some opportunities that maybe she would not otherwise have that can really lead to a really successful future. This is just the start of what could become for her.
But we have a coach who's wondering how you would recommend drawing girls into the team and away from sports. Many girls in their community are interested in First Lego League have parents that would encourage sports as an alternative or instead.
Well, I'd first like to say I'm not anti-sports or pro FLL when it comes to sports and First Lego League. I really think that's about scheduling, and I think it's about the student. So I wouldn't necessarily try to pull anyone away from something, but what I would do is talking about the First Lego League experience in ways that enticed young women to consider it. So there's ways of thinking about it from a standpoint of, okay, is the time frame that I'm scheduling First Lego League a good time frame, or am I competing with something that I'm never going to be able to compete with? You know, let's say in terms of fall sports, hypothetically, let's say cross country was super popular with the middle school girls, and the team had always had a great reputation, and it was something fun to do, and that coach was really great. That's not something I'd really want to compete with. So as an FLL coach, I would want those bright athletic young ladies that were in cross country to be on my team. So maybe I schedule a little differently because of that. In terms of, you know, sports or FLL, if it has to come down to that, I think them understanding more about what First Lego League is from those intrinsic value sets versus maybe what their perception is that it's a bunch of students running a robot. And yeah, you're running a robot, but what their perception is of the team is something that I would really try to find out. Like, what do you think FLL is really? And ask them, and then say, okay, well, I appreciate you answering that, and now let me tell you a little more about it. I also think talk to the coach of the other team. Are there ways that you can make things work? I know on teams here in our own state, there's been some give and take with practice times and things like that, but I think you have to go back to one activity, they're building muscles, and the other activity, they're building muscles. One is more, you know, triceps, biceps sort of muscles, and the other one is their brain. And so I think finding ways to not seem oppositional, but trying to be collaborative and working out a system so that they don't necessarily have to give up anything. They have to maybe be a part of both. If they have to make those choices, then you know, 50% or more of the population is female. And I'm sure not 50% of a female population in a school is out for, say, cross country. You may have to engender some other girls to be on the team. So you may have to say, yep, they're out for cross country, but I've got this whole other population of females that are ready to go and interested in my team.
I have a question from a coach that has a team of 5 girls and no boys, and it's their rookie year. And this coach asks, when we're working on the playing field, trying out new programs and seeing how the robots run, 2 girls tend to tune out. How do I get them interested? Should I have them do something else? Should we have a project sub-team and a robot sub-team?
I really believe in that all team members on a team should know aspects of all of First Lego League, so I really think it's great if they all program and they all do things, at least some of them, just more so from a oh my gosh, if somebody gets sick or can't make it, somebody else can fill in, so you've kind of done some cross-training. But if you have two young women that are not engaged when they're at the playing field, then maybe you provide them a task to do up at the playing field. You know, I might think about having them have clipboards, and they are writing down, they're the ones that are doing record keeping on exactly where the robot maybe did not perform the way it was supposed to. Like, they may be doing things that are helpful to the team, but maybe different from just standing there and watching. If they had some journals and you said, okay, when you're up to the table, I'd like the two of you to journal what you think might be a strategy to overcome what's happening. I need you to think about how we can do better, but I need you to either draw it or write it. And so maybe you give them almost like a subtask, but you make them feel like they need to be engaged. There's a reason for them to be engaged. They now have a purpose. If you find that, you know, you might ask them, I mean, you might just say to them off to the side, when we're up to the table, it seems like you aren't as maybe interested as you are in other things. Would there be something that you are really interested in that maybe we could have you take the lead on? That gives them the ability to have their own opinion. They may say, well, I just don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing about it if it doesn't work, or it's not really what I'm interested in. Then you can say, well, what things do you really like? What aspects of First LEGO League that you've seen so far do you think that you really want to take to the next level? It never says, boy, when we get up to the table, you seem really bored and you don't do anything and it's hard for me to, you know, keep your attention. It's nothing negative. It's, hey, I want to make this a meaningful experience for you. So let's figure out ways that I can take your talents and use them for the best of the whole team's ability, and then they get to be a leader in that area. They get to do something special. So I wouldn't necessarily take them off the robot team and not have them do it. I would probably task them with other things that contribute.
We have a coach who's actually working with 4 teams, and he asks, what are your thoughts on creating an all-girls team versus mixing genders on teams? And again, that particular coach is looking at 40-some students, 10 of which are girls, to split among the 4 teams.
I guess, again, I would look at logistics. When are your teams meeting? And if those females could get there. I think the idea of creating an all-girls team is a pretty powerful thing. I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea, especially if you're just taking the girls and sort of divvying them up equally amongst the team, or the 4 teams. I think you could definitely work to do that. The other thing is, you know, I just would not have any girls alone on a team. So if you were going to keep them on the same teams, which it's probably into the season enough that they're already on teams for this year, but what if you had the similar thing happen for next season, you might think of putting 3 on a team, or even 3 to 4 on a team, and then maybe you do end up having some all-boy teams. But they're going to perform well when they feel as though there are other people in the room that look like them. And so it's important, you know, if you're thinking about divvying them up, that you don't really put 2 on a team, because if one girl can't be there or she's ill, that girl is all alone. And it takes quite a bit of tenacity as a young person, and even as an adult, to be the only one of you in a room. So I would think you could put all the girls on a team, but I also, if I were going to have them with the boys, I would make sure that I had 3 to 4 on a team and not necessarily 2. The other thing is hopefully if you have those girls this year, I would totally use them to recruit girls next year. So it's one of the best things that can happen is using those young ladies to get their friends onto teams. So they can be your greatest recruiters and say, I want everybody to bring a friend with them that is not already involved in First Lego League, at least one friend, to see what it's all about. And that could be a really, really powerful thing. They'll talk about it, and they have the ear of their peers, and they also, it's validity. Oftentimes, as adults, we go in front of a group of kids, and they're like, yeah, I'm sure it's great. And they kind of, whatever, you're the adult, yeah. But their friends say, hey, this was really cool. I had so much fun. We had this awesome day that we went to an event, and we got to show everything off, and it was so fun, and I got this medal for participating and everything. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I should maybe think about that. And then they get invited to come at the end of the season and see it all, and their friend is right there explaining to them, and all of a sudden you no longer have a problem of how to divvy up the girls because you'll have girls on your teams.
We have a few people who have been asking about resources such as good blogs on engaging girls in STEM specifically, or on the growth mindset. And Camille, if that's not something that you have off the top of your head, perhaps we can pull together a list of some of the resources like that, and the resources that you've mentioned, such as the STEM All-Store resources, besides the PBS Maker Series someone was asking about, and websites, effective communication with team members.
I would be happy to put together a listing of some websites and different resources, and I will just put the caveat out there that there are lots and lots of good websites. So what I provide will, by all no means will it be the expansive listing, but I will put together what I consider some that are easy reads, don't take a ton of time to look through, and could be potentially really easy to implement, and maybe sometimes are just a different way of thinking. No coach is trying to exclude anyone from being on their teams, and it's all with the right things in mind that coaches are doing to get kids involved with First Lego League. And so I appreciate so much what coaches do and the caring that they take to think about these questions about how do I include people and how do I make sure that they feel a part of it and those kinds of things. So just know that that what you're inquiring about, to me, the fact that you're inquiring and the fact that you're on this call is wildly meaningful to me, and also to the students that you serve. So I would definitely put together resources, but I also encourage people to go out there and do some of their own searches and look around. But yes, I can definitely do that.
That's wonderful, and we'll make sure that we post those resources when the recording gets posted, and also circulate it to attendees, because I know some of you are asking about those various resources. I coach an all-girls team, and they are confident and successful at our meetings, but when they collaborate with a mixed gender team, their expertise is often ignored because they aren't aggressive or loud. How can we encourage them to lead and communicate better in these situations?
Yeah, that does happen. One of the things I think that could help is to simply maybe talk about that as a team, that, providing them that awareness that you as a coach see that happening, and you so believe in them, and you know their capabilities and how fabulous they are. And it's really important that other people see that too. And so I think it's okay to maybe sit down and talk about that before the next code team sort of meeting time or showcase, to say, Okay, ladies, now the last time we got together, I noticed something. I noticed that you didn't always speak up, and I know what great ideas you have, and I know how phenomenal you are in practice. And so I really hope that you understand when you speak up in front of others and you tell others different things about what you're doing, that it's just going to blow their minds. I mean, you guys are capable, and I really hope that you understand how much I believe in you as a coach, and I hope that today you'll speak up. The other thing that you could do as a coach is prompt. So when they're in that situation, you might say, I know my team has been working on this. Team, remember when we, and fill in the blank, you were really successful at that because, and then say, maybe you could talk to the rest of the group about that. Who might be willing to share something? So you're not putting any one individual on the spot, but yet you yourself are speaking up for them, and they suddenly go, yeah, okay, yeah, we did that. And then they may feel a little less intimidated. The idea of just providing them with confidence is going to help a lot. And sometimes it may be a situation where the other coach that you're working with who maybe lets the other team speak up maybe too much, maybe you can have some type of a conversation where you say, maybe we could have like sharing time or that kind of thing that's a little more managed so that you know, my team gets some practice and your team on speaking, and your team gets some practice on listening. I mean, can we work together so that I can try to help the ladies on my team understand that they really have a lot to contribute. It would help me out a lot, colleague to colleague. So you could maybe have those conversations also. Those are some ideas.
We have a really wonderful comment from an audience member who says, strong female coaches are great role models for girl team members. Young girls may be more comfortable working with adult women as their coaches. And I just would like to give you the opportunity to comment on that as well.
I couldn't agree more. I think that a lot of adults sometimes get intimidated to coach teams because they believe that they have to have this wildly technological background or degrees in certain fields in order to coach a first LEGO League team. And I think there's a lot of power in the fact that I truly believe that anyone can coach a first LEGO League team. I think that if you want to be a great role model to young people, if you are willing to keep them safe and you're willing to build their confidence while helping do time management and facilitation, that you can make a great FLL coach. And so I think it is important to really try to recruit women into coaching First LEGO League and having them understand the importance of their role as a role model. I think it's wildly important. And we have great resources all over the place of women who maybe aren't ready to coach just yet because maybe due to commitments or that kind of thing. But what about bringing them in even some of the time into your team to mentor or for your team to dialogue with them about what they were doing? It's a really, really powerful thing. There are different college student organizations that you could tap into. You could have them come in as role models and talk about what they're learning in college, and they can see the team and they provide that role model status. You could have high school FRC teams, FTC teams, students come in, and just really encouraging the women in your lives to consider being FLL coaches. I couldn't agree more that that's a really powerful message to send.
We actually had someone just comment that consider asking girls from local FRC teams to be coaches and role models for the girls on your team. That works for us. We have 30 plus kids and are going to have to cut some, we don't have enough for an all-girls team and would need some boys. What would be your recommendation? Should we have boys who are more willing to listen and support the girls, or do you have any other suggestions for handling that?
I think I'm understanding the question correctly in that there's not enough space on the team for everyone that is interested. Is that correct?
I can double clarify with the coach. That's my understanding as well.
Okay. So I think that is a decision that the coach has to make, is what is the priority to keep balanced in terms of gender in First LEGO League in their organization, area, school, wherever the team is sort of coming from. To me, I would look at the fact that I wanted it, and this is me personally, but that I wanted it to be as balanced as possible, while also looking at the fact that I needed young people to show up for practice, participate, and be engaged. So I think that it would be important to really look at that, and then hopefully by looking at the idea of, okay, I'd like to keep it as even as possible, but I'm also going to look at, are these students, you know, the 30 that are interested, are they all really going to stay, which ones are really going to stay engaged, which ones are going to be at practices, which ones are going to be in it for the long haul, so to speak. I know coaches that have the great problem or opportunity of having more students than they have teams for, have done really simple things to sort of get that manageable. So maybe it's a situation of you have a quick little survey type document that you give them that also has a short essay question on why they want to be on the team or what they hope to learn from the season. What do they as an individual hope to get out of being on a First LEGO League team? Sometimes just by asking a really good question, a well-worded question, and having them communicate back to you, and I'm not talking about pages and pages of a reply, I'm talking about a paragraph for those young people, but that can tell you a lot about the individual that you're working with, and that can help you define who should be on that team. But I would look at, how can I keep it pretty balanced while at the same time getting the students that really want to be here.
We have a coach who asks, how would you advise a coach to encourage friends on a team to branch out and be a part of the team instead of only hanging out or being with each other?
Well, I think for me, there would be maybe the challenge or opportunity of, you've got a team that really just wants to hang out together, which is pretty cool, while at the same time, what about you have some other people that you know and are friends with that they might really like this too? What about having a time dedicated where they did show off to their friends what they'd been doing? Maybe it was I always like to think about giving the teams homework, and not from a standpoint that they're turning anything in per se, but you know, a homework assignment for that week might be, I would like you to identify 2 other people that you hang out with that can come to a really short practice with us, and it's going to be really great practice for the team to have to present in front of others, but invite 2 friends to come. And if they can even bring 1, even if they get 1 extra friend there, you've just doubled the amount of kids that know about what they're doing. And you can say, what about the idea of your friends maybe forming a team next year? Why do you think your friends that are outside the team are on the team. Have them talk about that. You basically have like little mini focus group within your team on issues, and this might be an issue that you'd like them to tell their friends about it. You'd like them to hang out with those people. Well, by providing an opportunity where they have to, you're not only helping your team in terms of them doing speaking, so having to communicate with their friend about the different aspects of First LEGO League, that's a great practice for a tournament event. But you're also getting those other kids knowledgeable about what you're up to. So it may have to be sort of a planned / forced activity. But I also think that could be pretty great because the new friends would be going home and telling their parents about what they learned too. And so now, you know, you've just created this much bigger pool of people that know about what you're doing. And that could lead to some other really great things, whether it be additional kids, some mentors, funders, recognition within your area or school. I mean, that could have a lot of cool reciprocals that happen as a part of it.
Would you answer the same way if we have a couple sets of siblings on the team? The older siblings tend to push their little siblings aside. How do we encourage them to work together as a team and not see them as just a sibling?
I would set the ground rules to be very clear on that. Outside the team, you can function as brother, sister, 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 brother, brother, whatever, but when we're in practice, we're all equal members of the team. And so my expectation as a coach is that as members of the team, and I think of you as professionals. You are FLL professionals. You're going to become the FLL experts. And all of you are equal on this team. And so when we're in this team environment, we're going to treat each other as professionals. And whether you go to utilizing the 5 pillars of character or another type of tool that they may know from being in the school or being in other things, we're going to practice respect, and we're going to practice empathy, and we're going to practice being gracious professionals. And so in everything that we do, I understand this is your brother. I understand that's your sister. I get it. But in here, they're a team member, and we're going to be gracious professionals with each other. And so I think it's really important to constantly be kind of coming back to that if you're finding that you're having those issues of not, you know, siblings, I get it, not being respectful maybe all the time of each other because they're just so close. You know, they sometimes are loving each other and sometimes they can't stand each other. But as a team, we're only as strong as our weakest link, and we have to work together, and you're going to be gracious. It goes back to the First LEGO League core values to me.
One final question from a coach who's been waiting. In addition to more girls, we'd like to see more disadvantaged children on our team, kids from lower socioeconomic classes, kids who may have English as a second language. Do you have any suggestions on getting those kids involved? This coach says he has talked with the school principal but has no specific suggestions coming from him. They do have some scholarships to help cover fees.
It is a whole nother topic area, how to get underrepresented populations, as well as maybe those students who don't have the privilege and means to be on FLL teams or in other activities by virtue of circumstance. Some things that the coach or coaches might consider is, when do they practice, how long do they practice, and how do the kids get back and forth to practice. And so sometimes a youth member simply can't be on a team because their parents or guardians can't get them to and from a location. or they may have to watch a younger sibling after school, or maybe it is a situation where there is just not the means to be able to go to events. You know, everything from, you know, maybe your FLL team has to bring money to buy lunch. Maybe your FLL team has to purchase their own t-shirts to be with the team. Very simple things can become really major roadblocks for some young people. And so I think that it would, you know, very pie in the sky, it'd be awesome if teams could, if that's the children that you hope to get on your team, then put systems in place where there are rides to and from practice for people. There is an option where maybe some of the time there is, you know, a younger sibling junior FLL team that practices at the same time in another room, so that there is somewhere for that younger sibling to go. Maybe it's a situation where if practices are near a dinner time, that there are some meals or food contributed. I think that it's really important to stop and take a step back and go, okay, if I didn't have the means to get here, or to think that this was going to maybe cost me anything, it could be a real barrier. And if you start looking at those barriers and trying to tackle them one by one, I think that you can begin to get some more students on the team that maybe otherwise wouldn't have thought it was for them. The other thing I think is to be really candid with some of the community organizations that serve those populations, to say, how could I get in front of these parents, or is there something that could go out in your newsletter, or could I put something up on your bulletin board where you invite them in for a, you know, an awareness meeting. Maybe it's an FLL kickoff meeting, and you target those students and their parents or guardians, and you provide a meal with it. And you say it's okay if you've got to bring your other children to the meeting. Maybe you have a situation where you have an open gym night where the kids can go off and you can just talk to the parents. But I would really encourage you to look at transportation, meals, and ensuring that you have scholarships to cover those other sorts of things that people or parents have to pay for that maybe you hadn't thought of before, like the t-shirt, like transportation to a tournament, like the lunch at an event, that kind of thing. And see if you can get some scholarship dollars even for that kind of stuff. And the other thing is just being really open about how you recruit for First LEGO League, and making sure that you're doing that through multiple mechanisms, because they may or may not see it as something for them. But if it were advertised in a location where they go, that they utilize, you may find that they go, ah, okay, this has validity because it's on this bulletin board, or it's coming out through their newsletter, that kind of thing. But I would talk to some others that serve the population that you are trying to attract, and see if there are ways that you can partner. Maybe a boys or girls club, maybe there is an after-school program for youth that serves that population that you are trying to attract. Talk to them about how can I make sure that these kids know this is their opportunity too.
Thanks, Camille. Those are great tips, and I agree that that might be a topic that deserves its own session to really dive into. So I just wanted to read a couple quick compliments. We have managed to get through all the questions today. We had a coach who said, as a Girl Scout leader of 21 fourth graders, a coach for First LEGO League, and a coach for Destination Imagination, I want to thank you for bringing up this issue. I plan on forwarding some of your information to my co-leaders as we encourage our girls in these areas. Thank you so much for the guidance and great suggestions. And excellent information. Appreciate it. Growth mindset info, develop her positive reinforcement statements, and recruiting verbiage. Great Q&A. Many thanks, Camille. And I can only echo that. It was a really wonderful presentation. I just would like to take us through a few final housekeeping issues. Our next webinar is going to be Judging for Teams, and it'll be presented by First LEGO League Judge Advisor Skip Gridley. That takes place on October 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You will find the links to register for that webinar on our Team Resources page, where you will also find the recordings of our previous sessions, including the session on rookie coaches by Lee Magpili and presentation by our challenge topic experts Woody Flowers and Soren Thompson. Those presentations are all also available through our FLL Global YouTube channel, our FLL blog, and again on our Team Resources page. So we will pull those resources together and make sure that we send out in the team email blast when this recording is available if you'd like to share it. So thanks once again, Camille, for the great discussion and food for thought. And thank you again to all the coaches who attended today.
It was definitely my privilege. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate that all of you are so interested in making sure that everyone is welcome on your team. Thank you.
Have a great season.